So we'll make a start. Thank you to everyone for joining us. My name is James. I'm the Deputy Student Recruitment Manager here at Liverpool Hope University. So I look after the team who will have advised you, provided guidance, may have met you virtually this year, out and about, and delivered presentations and sessions inside of your schools. So we're the team that help to give you all the information you need to make informed decisions about your future choices. So welcome to Liverpool Hope University. I'm really pleased that so many of you have been able to join us this morning and to start our Summer of Hope sessions. So a bit of housekeeping for this session. You're welcome to place any questions that you have in the Q&A function. So at the bottom of your screen, there should be the option to type questions into the Q&A. You're welcome to put anything you'd like in there, and I'll try my best to answer throughout this session. We will also potentially have one of our current recent graduates joining us. So Laura is just in the process of joining us at the moment, so she'll be able to give her insight as well. Lovely, we have Laura with us now. Welcome, Laura. Thanks for joining us. So we were just about to make a start. So as I said, my name is James. I'm the Deputy Student Recruitment Manager within the team here at Liverpool Hope. Laura, I don't know if you want to just give a little quick introduction to yourself as a recent graduate from Hope?
Yeah, sure. So I graduated in 2020. I graduated from English Literature and Media. So now I currently help in student recruitment, but I also am a recent graduate.
Lovely, thanks Laura. So great to have you with us. So as I said, pop any questions that you have in the Q&A at the bottom of the screen, and myself or Laura will be happy to answer those throughout the session. What this session is designed to do is to give you a very warm welcome to Liverpool Hope. So now you've had all of the stress and the strain of getting your offers, of making those difficult choices, and we're really pleased that you've decided to put Liverpool Hope as the firm choice institution for yourself. So throughout this session, I'm going to give you some general information about Hope. Hopefully you'll be aware of some of it already, but we wanted to give you a general welcome and to let you know what's going to be happening as part of your Summer of Hope. So without further ado, we'll make a start. So as part of your induction to the university, we have a Summer of Hope programme of activity. Now, this programme of activity features different topics each week, and it allows you the opportunity throughout the different weeks leading up to joining us at Liverpool Hope, the opportunity to prepare yourself, to learn new skills, and also the opportunity to network with some of your future classmates. So what we're going to do is we're going to send out a timetable to you each week. This timetable is going to give you details of the activity, and there'll be different sessions that you'll be able to join. So this week, for example, is the first week. You're going to have introductory sessions about preparing for university. So this session today is very much about giving you an overview of Hope, a little bit of an introduction to the university, and providing you the opportunity to ask any questions that you have. There's also sessions for students joining us from particular regions. So for example, Northern Ireland, the Isle of Man or Gibraltar. So if you're joining us from one of those areas, you're very welcome here at Hope. And we have a little bit of a kind of more specialised session that's to give you information about joining from one of those areas. We also have a session later in the week on Friday about transitioning to university and to give you some tips and advice for how to transition from a school or college environment to a university environment. Following that, we have different weeks, and the different weeks will cover a range of different areas like careers and employability. So for example, how you can start to build your employability even from right now before you've joined us. Also have sessions about different extracurricular opportunities, so things that the student union host, a little bit about accommodation, how to prepare for finance. I know that'll be something that you'll be getting ready over the next couple of weeks. So a lot of different information sessions available to you. At the end of these sessions, in the middle of August, we're going to pass over to our academic colleagues who will do a little bit of an academic welcome for you ahead of you actually joining us in late September and early October, where we're really excited to welcome you physically to our campus. So keep an eye out for those emails coming every week. They'll be coming to you very early on a Monday morning. So we're going to try and send them around 8-9 o'clock in the morning so that you have your links for that whole week. We know that some of you may be in school at times or college, depending on your kind of timetables, and whether you're currently in or whether you're learning remotely. So what we're going to do is we're going to record all of our sessions, and they'll be available to you on demand at the end of the week. So if you can't make any of the sessions and you really want to attend, don't worry, there will be the opportunity for you to watch back afterwards. That's how the Summer of Hope is going to work, and there'll be lots of information for you. I'll put some contact details on the page at the end. So if you do have any questions at all about your Summer of Hope, you're welcome to contact us at any time. But we'll jump straight in with an introduction and a welcome to Liverpool Hope. So first of all, I just wanted to recap very briefly on some of our key statistics. So here at Liverpool Hope, we're really proud of a number of the achievements that we have. So you can see some of our key stats on here, and this may have factored into your decision making about where to put as your firm and insurance choice. But at Liverpool Hope, we have fantastic graduate employment statistics. So you're very, very kind of well looked after in terms of your employability, and you have lots of career support throughout your time at Hope. And myself and Laura will talk about our career support a little bit later on. We're also the top university in Liverpool, according to the Guardian League Table 2020, so you'll have a fantastic experience here in the city. We also have a Teaching Excellence Framework Gold, so this may have factored into your kind of decision making around universities, but the government essentially ranks universities from gold, silver and bronze, and it's actually a ranking based on the quality of teaching that you'll receive. So previous metrics have included things like the research output, and the quality of different kind of academic areas. But the Teaching Excellence Framework actually specifically focuses on the teaching you'll be receiving, which is something that's really important to you as a student. You want to know you're going to be in an environment where you'll learn and you'll be taught by the best. We then have our student experience, and so we're top 3 in the Northwest for student experience, according to the league table in 2020, which is fantastic. And Laura will be able to give some insights into her student experience at Hope a little bit later on. We're also, again, really, really highly regarded for our graduate employment afterwards. And so it may seem like it's a little bit early to start thinking about your employment and employability, but the sooner you start thinking about it, the better. It will come around really, really quickly. And I'm sure, Laura, it'll be yesterday that you think you were joining Hope, and joining and actually getting a career was at the back of your mind. It seemed like ages away, and now here you are as a graduate in employment. So it's really important to start thinking about very early on. So in terms of the university, we like to think of ourselves as being a village in a city. So we do have our own dedicated community. So we have around 5,000 students, which is a relatively small university by other standards, but that is an intentional number. And we do that to make sure that we retain our community feel and our sense of community whilst you're at Liverpool Hope. So relatively small, but that feeds into the teaching that you'll receive. So our students learn in small groups every week, so you will have that opportunity to get to know your peers very well, but also to get to know your tutors really well. And one of the kind of things I like most about Hope is the fact that actually the tutors get to know their students really well, and you will get to know your tutors. And it's a really nice kind of relationship that you'll have with your tutors. You're not just one of a number, whereas at some other universities, you might be one as part of, I don't know, 30,000 students, and actually you're just a number. Whereas at Hope, each student is treated as an individual. I don't know, Laura, did you get to know kind of your tutors and your colleagues really well?
Yeah, I always say, like, when I'm talking to people, that your tutors aren't just some guy that turns up and does the presentation and then goes home. You do really get to know them on like a personal level as well as an academic level. So that's really helpful when you need to ask questions, when you kind of, if you're struggling in any way, shape or form, there's no barrier then for you to be able to ask questions and get the most out of your learning, because you do get to know your lecturers and your tutors on a really good level, which I think was really beneficial to my learning experience.
That's great. Thanks, Laura. It's really nice to hear. So that's kind of the teaching and the kind of community feel that we have at Hope. I know this year's been a little bit different. Some of you may have had the opportunity to visit us physically on campus, but I know the vast majority won't have due to the current circumstances. So one of the things that kind of is key to Hope is how it feels, how you'll feel comfortable and safe studying with us. And that's something that I'd really encourage over the summer. If you do kind of have the opportunity and you're comfortable doing so, we have restarted our physical campus tours. So you're welcome to come and join us and actually see the place for yourself and get that lovely feel on our site. So you'll have the opportunity to live and learn on our beautiful campuses. So we have wonderful gardens and grounds. It's a beautiful place to study, and you'll see some of the images throughout. And hopefully you'll have been able to join us either on physical tours or through some of our virtual tours, and have had the opportunity to find out a little bit more about our beautiful campuses. But we also have wonderful facilities on these campuses. So we've had around £35 million worth of investment over the past 5 years. And that's in a number of key areas that we wanted to provide support to our students. So for example, our health sciences building, for anyone who's looking at studying something like maybe sports rehabilitation, any of our sports coaching courses like our sports and PE, for example, or sports science, anyone looking to do nutrition, for example, all of our courses like that within our health sciences complex, you'll have access to state-of-the-art facilities. We also have our sports complex attached to our health sciences building, and this is the opportunity for you to go and actually join maybe the gym, for example, use our squash courts, or our large sports facilities as well. So there really are kind of cutting edge facilities that are available to you. We also have our Creative Arts Centre on our creative campus, and I'll talk about the different campuses in a second. But within our creative campus, we do have a Creative Arts Centre, which is undergone massive refurbishment, again, meaning that you do have access to those fantastic facilities during your time with us. So whilst you're studying at Liverpool Hope, you're going to have the opportunity to access a number of different things. So I'll just let my slides catch over. Here we go. So whilst you're studying at Liverpool Hope, we have a number of different opportunities for you, for example, to study combined degrees. So you'll have received your offers, you'll be set on the subjects that you want to study, and hopefully you'll have taken the opportunity to study maybe a combined degree, or you might have the opportunity when you join us to try something a little bit new in your academic studies. So no, Laura, you actually combined 2 subjects, didn't you, for your how did you find actually combining them?
So I found that like originally I just wanted to do English literature, but that in itself is quite a heavy subject. So lots of reading, very essay based. So when I combined it with the media, I found that not only did they kind of feed into each other, so there was a little bit of overlap in studies. It was nice to just have 2 different things to study. So if one kind of got too heavy, or it was getting on my nerves, then the second one I could kind of take over. It was just kind of good to kind of broaden my knowledge as well. So I'd done English before, but I hadn't really tried media and that side of it. So it was good to kind of get like a practical side to my qualification as well as just the English.
Lovely. So I think the combined degrees really work for some of our students because either they don't know exactly what they want to do, or like Laura said, they like that opportunity to study 2 things that are maybe a little bit different in the nature of the subject. So that might be something that you want to consider. There are always opportunities to kind of either before or when you join us. If you want to look at combinations, that's always an option available to you. But hopefully you're really excited to join your subjects. Like I said, we're a community on a campus, so you'll get to know lots of people, and there's lots of social kind of opportunities for you, which we'll talk about a little bit later on. You'll learn from top researchers in their field, and our academics are really leading in their field. So it might be, for example, that actually the textbook that you're studying was written by the lecturer who's delivering it, which is a really fantastic part of your learning at Hope. You'll be able to access a range of opportunities within and outside of the curriculum. So we'll talk a little bit about some of our extracurricular activities in a second, but we do have opportunities for you maybe to travel abroad if that's something that is interesting as part of your studies and you want to do. Opportunities to maybe do placements, opportunities to join societies, and to further the passions that you have. What we do at Liverpool Hope is we try and challenge our students. So we challenge you academically, and we challenge you in terms of it's a completely new learning experience. You'll maybe moving away for the first time, or have those responsibilities that you may not have had at college or at school. But we want to challenge you within a wider environment, which is very supportive. So there's lots of support available at Hope, and we'll talk about our support services in a second. We also have an integrated curriculum. So Laura might be able to talk a little bit more about her experience of the curriculum. But the way I like to describe it, kind of in very simple terms, is that rather than studying in a kind of broken up, bitty sense, you actually have the opportunity to study in a much more kind of joined up and broad approach. So rather than, I don't know, for example, if you're studying a subject like history, rather than jumping from one area of history to another, rather than jumping from one kind of time period to another and it being quite fragmented, our curriculums are designed in a way which means that you'll get a kind of broad approach to your subject, and it means that by the time you come out of your subject you'll have learned a really kind of good overview of your subject, and it means that you won't kind of miss areas. You do still have flexibility in the vast majority of our subjects and the opportunity to kind of pick some of your areas, but it means that overall you'll get an education which is very well rounded. So I don't know, Laura, how did you find the curriculum and those aspects of your courses?
Yeah, so particularly in the English, I found that like rather than kind of doing say one author and then another author, being in two completely different like time periods, the way it worked was kind of more thematic. So you'd learn about say feminism from like the 1800s up to present day. So you had like a full timeline of a concept. And I did find that it really helped not only in kind of my knowledge, but also like essay structure and kind of understanding where different aspects of literature fit in with each other. And I really appreciated learning that way because it kind of helped me make sense of how these things changed over time.
Wonderful. That's a really nice way of putting it with the thematic approach to learning. So thanks, Laura. We've had a couple of questions come through, so trying to kind of pick up those really quickly. So we've had a question about the sessions afterwards. So yes, all sessions will be recorded, and what we'll do is each week we'll send out a link to the previous week's recordings. So for example, next week you'll be able to review all of this week's recordings, so they'll be available to you via the emails that we send out. And we've also had a question about the combined degrees. Anyone who is interested in a combined degree and is not already studying a combined degree, have a look at our website, have a look at the combinations that are available to you. Some are available for this year and some just for next year, so just be a little bit careful looking at those. But if you decide you do want to change and maybe combine it with another subject, and it looks like it's possible on our website, what I'd say is drop an email to our admissions team. So you can drop them an email at just admission without the S, so just admission @hope.ac.uk, and they'll be more than happy to help consider your options and get in touch with you. If you'd like to instead, you can drop us an email and our contact details will be at the end, and we're happy to put you in touch with the admissions team. But that's something they're always happy to have a chat with you about. We also have the opportunity, like I said, to study abroad and to do placement years. So we'll talk about those in a second. What I want to do now is just to recap our campuses. So we have a number of different campuses here at Liverpool Hope, and hopefully you'll have an idea of where you might be studying, but generally speaking, any of our creative subjects, so creative arts, so for example, art and design, so graphic design, for example, music, musical theatre, musical production, those types of subjects that are more creative and based around the arts are generally taught at our creative campus, and the rest of our subjects are taught at Hope Park. So a little bit about the differences between them. So Hope Park is our largest teaching campus. It's based just outside of Liverpool in a suburb called Chilwell. It's a beautiful part of Liverpool, nice and relaxed, nice and calm, and you have that kind of university bubble at Hope Park, which is lovely, and everything's very self-contained. As part of that, you'll have places to live. So there's some accommodation on our Hope Park campus where you may be living during your time with us. There's also places to work. So we have lots of opportunities for part-time jobs on our campus. For example, in our social spaces, bars, in the shops, in the kind of cafes, that type of thing. There's lots of opportunities there. There's opportunities to study. So for example, we have our Shepherd Warlock Library is based on Hope Park. So it may be that you do a lot of your studying on our Hope Park campus, and lots of opportunity to relax. So we do have social spaces as well. We then have our creative campus, as said, for those specific subjects. Here we do have, again, there's a library space, there is social space, there's also residential living accommodation there. So it may be that you live on our creative campus as well. And this is based much closer to the city centre. So you're probably, what we say, Laura, about 5-minute walk away from the city centre, 5-10 minutes.
If you walk fast, 5. If you stroll, 10.
Yeah, so you're just outside the city, but it's really, really kind of accessible and really close to all of those city centre amenities. But that having been said, it's a self-contained campus. So although you're right next to the city centre, it feels like you're not, which is lovely because it's nice and calm and tranquil in kind of the gardens of the creative campus, where they hold things like festivals like our Angel Fields Festival, which is taking place currently. So if anyone's interested in kind of music, interested in theatre, interested in any of our arts areas, maybe not necessarily just part of your subject, but you're just interested in it more generally, do take a look on our website at our Angel Fields Festival that's taking place now. It's a really exciting programme of different creative kind of talks, workshops, demonstrations and performances. So that's something you might want to get involved with. We then have our Egberth Park campus, which again is based just outside the city centre. So it's in Egberth, which is a suburb of Liverpool, approximately 3 miles from the city centre. So you're probably looking about 15, 20 minutes on a bus, depending on traffic. And this is purely a residential campus. So it may be that you're living on here, but you're taught on Hope Park or Creative Campus. And what it's important to say is that the connectivity between the 3 sites is really good. So we do actually have a free turn-time shuttle bus that runs for our students between the 3 sites. So if you're living on Egberth Park, but you've got a lecture on Hope Park, you can jump the free shuttle bus so that you don't have to worry about getting there. And it's really convenient for you. What a lot of our students do potentially is kind of, if they're based on Hope Park, they might jump the shuttle bus to Creative Campus and walk into town. Just a little tip there, saves you the bus fare of getting into town if you wanted to do that. As well as our 3 main campuses around Liverpool, we also have Plas Cardean. Now, Plas Cardean is our outdoor education centre in North Wales, and this delivers residential outdoor activity. So this is a really good opportunity our students get to actually take them outside of the classroom environment so they can learn in a slightly different environment. So, for example, I know our business students have gone there and looked at podcasting and doing recordings for business, and it was a really good opportunity for them to just experience their subject, but in a different environment rather than being in the academic environment of the classroom. As part of a visit to Plas Cardean, it's not all just about your subject. As you can imagine, in North Wales, with the beautiful scenery and countryside, you do get the opportunities to take part in outdoor activities. So it may be something like kayaking, or you might go for long hikes, or do water activities. It's a really, really good experience. Laura, did you go as part of your time at Hope?
Yeah, so I went with him like the first few months of my first year, and it was really good because it broke the ice a lot on getting to know like the people in your class who we hadn't really like talked to yet, because you kind of only talked to the first immediate people, and it was really nice because we had like half of the trip was kind of getting to know people, kind of getting comfortable within like a cohort with your lecturers, but also we took studying kind of outside of a classroom setting, and it's really lovely. Like, me and my friends still say now, oh, we should go back because it's just so lovely, and it's really nice to kind of have like a university experience, but also not in a university setting. But yeah, I do love it.
That's lovely. And you should all get back together and go back as just kind of as a general point. You can book to just go to Plas Cardean. So if you've got a group of friends who wanted to go, it's a lovely place to go. So yeah, so you have to send us some pictures, Laura, when you get all your friends back together and you go back to Plas Cardean. That'd be lovely.
I will do.
So that's our kind of general overview of our 4 different campuses. So hopefully you have a rough idea of where you might be for the majority of your studies, but if not, we're happy to answer questions on that. But looking at each campus individually now, so as I said, our Hope Park campus is our largest campus, and on our Hope Park campus we have a number of different spaces. So in the top left-hand corner of this screen, you can see the courtyard of our Shepherd Warlock Library, which is a great environment. You'll either spend lots of your time in the library or none at all. People are generally one of 2 different ways. I know I spent lots of time in the library, but only in 3rd year when it was getting really serious and I was doing my dissertation. So the library is a really good place to get to know, and the environment and the facilities are really good at the Shepherd Warlock. We then have our sports facilities. So you can see in the centre our sports courts, currently actually being used as a vaccination centre to help the local community with the rollout of the vaccination, which is wonderful and kind of highlights how we're part of our local community, which is great. But in normal circumstances, that's available for you to, I don't know, play badminton, basketball, all the different activities that you might want to use that space for. And if you look just at the bottom, you can see our gym. So the gym actually has really fantastic modern facilities. And at the moment, the gym is only £25 for the whole year, which is a wonderful membership price. And it includes your classes and things as well. So actually, that's a really, really cheap way to keep fit. And it's a way that we kind of support our students to have an active lifestyle. So the gym and the sports facilities are fantastic. And on our Hope Park campus, we also have kind of the pitches that you would expect, so 3 and 4G pitches, and we have the opportunity to kind of book them out if you wanted to take part in 5-a-side or football and that type of thing. We then have our health sciences building, which is the long image in the centre, which was newly opened. That's fantastic. And in the top right-hand corner, we have one of our social spaces. So this is Our Place, which does wonderful pizzas. So there's the opportunity to go and grab a bite to eat. They also have evenings. So for example, they do quiz nights and film nights. They do bingo. They do all sorts in Our Place. It's a great kind of buzzing environment. So obviously in normal circumstances, when we're able to all get together and take part, that's kind of the hub of campus, which is a great kind of facility available to you as students. We then have our creative campus. Now this is a wonderful space. So it's set in tranquil gardens. So in our angel fields in the gardens, which it gives you the opportunity, even though you're pretty much in the city centre, you have that opportunity to switch off and relax and focus on your studies. In there, we have a number of different areas. So you can see, for example, we have our Mac suites for those who are doing graphic design, for example. We have our art studios where you'll have your own dedicated space to do your own art work and exhibit as part of your degree. We also then have our things like our sprung floors for those who are doing dance. So we have those facilities available to you. We have a number of black box theatres and spaces that are available on the campus for those who are doing performance, musical theatre, drama, those types of subjects. And we also have our capstone theatre. Now, as you can see, it is a real producing theatre. So there's the opportunity there for you to go and produce your own performances as part of either your degree or maybe as part of societies that you might be involved in, and you can also showcase there as well. We also have touring companies who come in and perform at the capstone, so really good, a lot of discounted tickets for students to go and kind of take part in activities there. So the capstone theatre is a fantastic opportunity for students to showcase their work and also get jobs. So we do look for things like ushers, people to work behind the bar, and so there's lots of opportunity there as well. So looking at the Creative and Hope Park campus, Laura, do you have any kind of anything that you found particularly good about the facilities that were available?
So yeah, there's lots of opportunities to kind of get involved in different areas, kind of outside your studies. So as you're saying, the Capstone Theatre, I worked there for my 3 years at Hope. So even though I was based in Hope Park, I got the chance to kind of work in like a working theatre and like experience that environment. So that was really good. I've been across both campuses and they feel similar but different. So both have state-of-the-art facilities for the subject space there. But they both kind of have the Hope feel. They still feel quite homey, which is lovely. But yeah, kind of, I always say every kind of facility you would need for both your studies and your kind of personal life, that kind of is based on one of the campuses, which is really nice because you don't have to venture too far to kind of get what you need.
That's great. Thanks, Laura. So we've had some questions come through, which is great. Keep sending in your questions into the Q&A function. We've had some really good ones come through, so thank you very much for that. So we've had someone ask, are you allowed on both campuses to do activities? So absolutely. So whether you're doing history, but you just have an interest in, I don't know, like musical theatre, you want to take part in the society there, you're welcome to do so. And the same the other way around. So if you're on creative campus and you want to go and use the sports facilities, absolutely fine. All facilities are open to all students. So thanks very much for that question. That's great. We've had a question about the Duke of Edinburgh. So we do offer the Duke of Edinburgh. So we support students with the Duke of Edinburgh Gold and also the other levels if you want to as well, but we do go up to Gold. So that's delivered through our careers team. There's a really supportive team there who look after extracurricular kind of careers related activities like the Duke of Edinburgh Award. So when you join, there'll be the opportunity to get involved with that. So yes, we do offer the Duke of Edinburgh. We have another question about different subjects, so about the combinations, which is a good one. So for example, if you do two subjects that aren't necessarily overtly related, so the example used here is information technology and media, for example, will that be possible? So the way our teaching happens is that you'll essentially be taught 50-50. So you'll be taught information technology in some of your classes and media in others. So it's okay to combine subjects that maybe on the face of it don't seem that connected. But what that'll give you the opportunity to do is to explore how they may a link. So what might be really nice is if you're doing a media essay, for example, or you're doing a bit of writing, you might have that extra knowledge about kind of the technological side of media, and you may be able to bring that into your essays, for example, and enhance it. And that's the whole point of doing combined degrees, is rather than diluting any of your studies, it gives you the opportunity to just broaden your learning. So I know your subjects, Laura, were quite complementary, but how did you find kind of switching from one subject to another and having different lectures and things?
So it kind of, the way it works, it's as involved as you want it to be. So I found that although there was some overlap with my English and my media, there were two different like pots of learning. So I got to know a lot about English and a lot about media. So although mine were quite closely linked, in terms of like the essay structures are similar, even though the topics aren't. We've got some really not closely linked subjects. But the kind of the cool thing about it is that you don't have to commit to one passion. If you like, say, I don't know, dance, and you like maths, there's no reason why you can't like both. And it just kind of helps you become a more rounded learner, which I think is really nice.
Absolutely. Here at Hope, we actually offer around 1,300 different combinations of degrees, so lots and lots of opportunity. We've had another question come through about the use of the spaces, which is great. So thanks, Nathan, for your question. So if we have, say, for example, a sibling or a partner or some friends, and say they're, for example, coming and visiting you for the weekend, are they allowed to access the social areas, or is it just available for students? So they are available for students and for example, their guests and things. So Laura, I don't know, did you have any kind of experience of this while you were here?
So I had like let me just read the question again. So I've got an example. In our place there was a Eurovision quiz, and I went in my second year, and my sister was kind of as obsessed as I am. So I brought my sister along. There's no reason that you can't like kind of involve other people into the Hope community, as long as you kind of are using the facilities. Certain things like our place, there's no reason why you can't. I think there are certain aspects of that maybe kind of the library you would have to gain access. But in terms of the social facilities, any kind of facilities that you enjoy as a student, you can get your family and friends involved too.
Lovely, thanks, Laura. And the other question we've had through is about dates for arrival and starting university. So you will be sent full information about this in due course, but just so you're aware, that our kind of arrivals weekend takes place the last weekend in September. So I think it's the 25th and 26th off the top of my head. And then your kind of induction week, or what some people might know as Freshers Week or Welcome Week, would take place that last week in September into October. So I think it's the week beginning the 27th of September. So that's generally speaking when that will take place. And then that first full week in October, your kind of academic courses will properly start. But full information about that will be sent. So you'll get all of that information in advance. But yeah, any questions about that, just let us know. So hopefully that was helpful about our two main campuses, but just a little bit about these other campuses that we have. So for example, Edgeworth Park. So just some pictures here of the accommodation that we have and the area it's located in. So it's really close to areas like, for example, Lark Lane, which is in the bottom left-hand corner, which has lots of kind of independent restaurants and shops and little cafes. It's a really cute part of the city where lots of kind of, it's a very student-orientated area. So kind of on a Friday and Saturday night, you'll find lots of students down there drinking and just generally having a really nice time. So it's a lovely part of the city and it's really close. You're also really close to Sefton Park, which hosts lots of festivals and activities, and it's just a really nice place to unwind at the end of the day. And then you can see the promenade in the pictures there, and that's Otter School Promenade, which is lovely, and you can actually walk from there all the way into the city centre, into the docks, which is a really nice kind of area nearby. There's also social spaces at Egworth Park. So there are kind of like a common room and that type of thing. So there's opportunities for you to kind of interact with people and to be social whilst on Egworth Park. And then we mentioned Plascardian earlier, but just some lovely pictures of our students taking part in the activities there. So it's something to really look forward to as part of your studies at Liverpool Hope. I mentioned the Teaching Excellence Framework earlier, so just very briefly to highlight that it highlighted a number of different aspects of the teaching at Liverpool Hope. So for example, the outcomes for our students were really focused on making sure that at the time you leave us, which hopefully you'll have had a wonderful experience with us and be ready for employment or further study. But actually, we want to make sure that the experience that you've had is really, really top quality. So it was drawn attention to that we have outstanding levels of stretch provision and that our curriculum is designed in a way that stretches but also supports our students get a really good understanding of their subjects, and we embed a culture of valuing excellence in our learning and teaching, so you'll get a really good kind of experience of your subject at Hope. And as part of that, our academic staff are really, really well qualified for what they do. So we're 10th in the UK for the percentage of our academic staff with doctorates. So we do make sure that you're taught by experts in their field. And our student staff ratio is around 1 to 14. Fluctuates a bit, roughly year on year, but it's generally speaking around 1 to 14, which again, comparatively is really, really good in terms of the number of our staff to our students. And it means that, again, you're not treated as a kind of number, that our academic staff do get to know you and you'll get to know them and have that really good relationship. In terms of other provision, we have our extracurricular provision. So our student union are responsible for running lots of our kind of societies, for example. So it may be that you have an interest that you want to further as part of your time at Hope. So Laura, what societies were you in?
Yeah, so I did musical theatre. So I kind of used that originally as some way to get to know other people who were in my course. It was something I kind of enjoyed. I like musicals. And I went along to the creative campus. And to be honest, it was a really central part of my student experience. The people who I met there became kind of some of my best friends. And I got to experience things that I never would have if I wouldn't have joined. And so I got to perform at the capstone, and we went on trips, we went on nights out. And I would really recommend that you join some form of sport or society, because it really, university is kind of what you make of it, and to join something, to be part of kind of a team or a society, really does mean something, and it can be really enjoyable.
That's great. And our societies cover a wide range of areas, so kind of the things you might expect societies to be. So we have, for example, a Gaelic football societies, we have kind of basketball, all the sports societies, dance, musical theatre, as Laura said, but we also have some slightly more unusual societies. So what I'd say is have a look on our student union website, and there's a full list of our societies. But I know in the past, for example, there's been societies where people get together and just like appreciate tea. So they'll, instead of going on a bar crawl, they'll go on a cafe crawl. And they'll basically have tea and like a slice of cake in lots of different cafes and things, almost like a bar crawl, which I think is just a wonderful society. So there's lots of different societies available, depending on what your interests are. And if it's the case that there's not a society, or you've got an interest that's fairly recent, you can always set up a society with support from the student union. If you can just get a number of other people who are interested, get together, set up your society, which is great. So we know that happens with kind of TV shows and films that kind of come and go in popularity, and that's something that quite often does happen. So the student union are there to provide that kind of societies and the more kind of fun side of university, but they are a union, so they're there to also provide representation to you if you ever need any support with any issues that you're facing. We then have study abroad, so there's the opportunities for you to study abroad for specific periods of time, depending on what you're interested in doing. So if that's something you're interested in, we can put you in touch with our international team, but there'll also be sessions later on in the Summer of Hope as part of one of our weeks, where we get our kind of international teams come and talk to you about things like study abroad and global hope, which I'll talk about in a second. We also have our Service and Leadership Award, so SALA. So this is an award run by the university, similar in some ways to the Duke of Edinburgh, in that you'll do a number of different areas to get your award. but the SALA is recognised by employers, essentially that you've gone above and beyond what was expected as part of your studies. So Laura, did you or any of your friends take part in SALA?
So I did, yeah.
Great.
It was something that was really encouraged as part of your studies. So you have to do certain amounts of like service hours, certain community hours. So I was part of the radio station when it was up during my time, and that kind of contributed to my SALA award, even though it was something I was already doing. And you also get like tickets for graduation. There's like little perks and stuff that you get by doing it. But it's just a nice sense of achievement that you've gone outside of your studies and what was expected. And it really does stand out on my CV. So.
Great. Lovely. And then we have our Global Hope programme, which is the opportunity to go abroad and do some volunteer work. So places that we've previously visited include places like India, for example. Our students have gone and worked on projects over there. So it might be doing a little bit of teaching over there or supporting communities over there. So there's lots of opportunities to go and do some really good work abroad. And the way that works it'll be explained as part of the Global Hope session that we've got as part of the Summer of Hope. But a very brief introduction is that you may do some fundraising with some friends. I know it's quite a fun actual build up to the Global Hope as well, because you almost use it as like a charity fundraiser to fund going over there and kind of investing in those projects that you're doing. So it's a really, really good program, again, that enhances your employability as well and just broadens your experience as a student. So if you're interested in that, do have a look at the full timetable for the Summer of Hope and make sure you can attend that session. So that'll be a really good one to do. As I said previously, as it was asked by one of our attendees today, we do support the Duke of Edinburgh Gold and other kind of levels of the Duke of Edinburgh. So if you're interested in taking part, or you're currently doing the group of the Duke of Edinburgh, you can actually further that as part of Hope. And then there's the City of Liverpool, which we'll talk about in a second, which is a wonderful place to study. We've got a couple of questions coming, so I'll just kind of go back and cover those. So, for example, is the gym fee, how does that work? So at the moment, obviously it's subject to change each year, but at the moment you pay £25 for the year, and that is your full gym fee. So I know, for example, I'm a member of a gym outside of the university and I'm currently paying, I think it's about £35 a month. So £25 for the whole year is incredible. So you pay that kind of separate to your accommodation. If you want to join it, just pay that £25 or whatever it will be for future years, for example. We've also had questions about kind of guests coming to kind of stay with you and those types of things. So as you can imagine, for things like fire safety and that type of thing, to make sure that we're keeping everything safe, we do ask that you sign in guests, for example, and also we have things like we have guest rooms on site. So I know it's really popular for people who, like, for example, their parents want to come and stay, and actually they can just book out accommodation on site, and it's like a hotel on site, really. So there's the option for that as well, or you can sign people in as well as part of kind of your residential experience. Also got questions about kind of staying in accommodation with other people. So I'd say if you've got any really specific questions about accommodation, I'll give you the accommodation details, so you can drop them an email and ask those specific questions. Great. So in terms of other kind of key parts of your experience at Hope, we have lots of support available to you. So as part of your experience, we provide lots of different areas to access support. So it's not just like there's one dedicated place. Actually, support is provided at a number of different levels. So, for example, we have our learning support team based in the library, and what they can do is they can support you with things like referencing, academic writing, how to find the right resources for your studies. So it may be that you're not particularly confident in academic writing, and the learning support team are fantastic at giving you that support. We also have personal tutors. So you'll be allocated a personal tutor who's almost your first point of call, and you'll kind of touch base with them a couple of times throughout the year, and they'll just make sure that you're on track and that everything's going well. We also have resident tutors. So these are, generally speaking, either more senior students or postgraduate students, for example, who are based in your accommodation. So they will actually be on call almost overnight, and kind of when office hours aren't open, they'll be available for you to go and speak to with any issues or questions. And they also play a really important role at helping your flat gel together, kind of encouraging social activity. And I know a lot of people who've graduated say that they're still in touch with their resident tutors and they have a really good relationship with them. We also have university chaplains, so that's available for those of faith and of no faith. So they're available to kind of support you in a more kind of well-being sense, maybe speak to you about any kind of identity or spiritual issues you're having. They're available to you, or just to go and grab a brew with. They're just really nice people, the chaplains, so that's available to you as well. Our student union, as I've said, are available, and their role is to represent students. So there are elected students who act as, say, for example, the president, the vice president welfare, and they're available for you to go and speak to and to raise any issues that they can then lobby the university on. We have a counselling team and a mental health team, and they're available for you to access if you need any support during your time at Hope. If you maybe have a disability, we also have disabled student support. So if you have anything that you're kind of is a pre-existing condition, be that mental health condition, be that a disability, or be that a physical health condition as well, what you can do is get in touch with us in advance, and our support teams can put a support plan in place for you even before you've arrived at Hope. So do get in touch if that's the case for yourself, or if something happens whilst you're with us, we have that support available for you. We also have financial support available for those who are students. So, for example, if we know it's not encouraged, but it does happen, is that people get their student loan and have a really wonderful welcome week and end up with very little to live on for the rest of the first term. Not encouraged. Please don't do that. Please budget very well. But if, for example, that situation arises and you find yourself in difficulty, there are people that you can speak to about how to budget your money and that type of thing. So there are financial support advisors available to you. There's also careers and employability support available, and our student accommodation team are available as well if you have any questions that you need about your accommodation. So Laura, how did you find the support whilst you were at Hope?
So I did feel really supported. It's something that when you first arrive, you'll think, oh, I wouldn't need that. I might not need that. But it is nice to know it's there. So I accessed a lot of different kind of levels of support in Hope. So even down to like the learning support team, when you come, things like referencing can feel a bit alien. And you feel kind of like you kind of catching up. But it's quite nice to have that level of support there to kind of explain it to you on regular people terms, and make it make sense. So I would say if you need to access any of them, then it's good to know that it's there. I felt really supported in my time. That was really important to me, because I've had student experiences in other institutions that I didn't necessarily feel as supported. So it is really good to know that it's there if you are struggling, and that you can access that quite quickly.
That's great, thanks Laura. So lots of support available to our students during and after kind of arrivals. So do get in touch if you'd like to discuss any of that. Just a brief word on our graduates. So we do have fantastic graduate employment statistics. But what I want to focus on here is the opportunities that we have for you. So as part of our careers service, we do have opportunities for after you leave. So for example, as you come to your second and third year and you're starting to look at your options, we do have graduate opportunities that we advertise to people. So companies will come to us and say, here are our vacancies, can you tell your students about them? And that gives us the opportunity to make sure you're aware of all of the opportunities available to you. We then have internships that are available both in the university and outside the university. So we'll support you to undertake those internships maybe throughout the summer of your second year. I know is quite popular for doing internships, and the summer of your first year, or maybe throughout Easter breaks. So there are opportunities to get that experience. There's placement opportunities as part of the vast majority of our courses. So if that's something you're interested in, get in touch with us, and you can find out more about our placements. We then have part-time and casual work. So like we were saying earlier, you might work at the Capstone Theatre as an usher, you might work behind the bar, you might work in one of our shops on campus, for example, or you're in a large city, so you have the opportunity to go and work throughout Liverpool. Something to consider if you currently have a part-time job is maybe seeing if there's a local branch or a local part of that company in Liverpool. I know throughout my time, I worked in a restaurant. I was a kind of a waiter and worked in the kitchens and things. And when I went to study at university, I found out that there was a local restaurant of the same chain, and they were able to transfer me during term time so that I could work there whilst I was studying. So that might be something to consider if you're currently in a part-time job. And there's also vacation work as well. So it's really important you're here to study, you're with us to actually get your degree, but we know that financially it's a really important part of the student experience is that there's opportunities to get that work outside of your studies. Next, I just briefly wanted to touch on the city of Liverpool. You've made a wonderful choice to study at Liverpool. It is a fantastic city to be a student in. So just a snapshot there of some of the amazing things that happen as part of your time here. But in Liverpool, we're really well connected to different parts of the UK. So for example, you can get to Manchester in about, depends on what train you get, for example, but kind of between half an hour to an hour, you can get to Manchester. On the train, you can get to London in just over 2 hours. You can get to Birmingham, you can get up to Scotland really easily, and that's on the train. Or we have, for example, a coach centre in Liverpool, so you can go from the coach depot and you can get a coach to different parts of the UK as well if you'd rather do that, and really good links to the rest of the UK. We have lots of Irish students study with us, for those who are from Northern Ireland or from the Republic of Ireland. And we're actually home to the only arts and culture-led Irish festival in the UK. And there's lots going on if you are a student coming over from Ireland. So go to the Home from Home session we've got later on this week about studying from Ireland, but lots of different activities and cultural events taking place. The city is actually home to over 50,000 students in total, which means you'll never be too far away from a friendly face or some students in the city. And we're a really cultural city, and so there's lots going on in terms of things like museums and galleries, and we have more in the city than any other city outside of London. We're also the most successful footballing city in England, and we also have Liverpool Football Club. So if anyone is interested in football, you might want to come and have a look at our different stadiums. So I myself I'm an Everton fan, so we have wonderful kind of opportunities. You can go and visit Goodison Park, or if you wanted to, you could go to Anfield and watch a Liverpool game, but you'll get a better experience if you go to Goodison. But there's loads of sports that take place, so you can come and take part in that if you're interested in that. We also have things like Aintree, where we have the horse racing, we have lots of tennis events, so it's not just football, but there's lots going on if you're interested. We were the European Capital of Culture in 2008, and there's a lot of legacy of that currently in the city. So for example, we have our museums, our galleries, so there's lots going on and lots of redevelopment taking place in the city, so it's a fantastic place. And we also hold the Guinness Book of Records title for the capital of pop. So I couldn't deliver a presentation about Liverpool without mentioning some of our musical accomplishments. So you might expect me to say things like the Beatles, for example, but there's lots of other artists who come from Liverpool who you might want to kind of engage with whilst you're here, and lots of live music. It's one of my favourite things about Liverpool, is you're never too far away from live music as well, which is great. So I don't know, Laura, how do you summarise Liverpool? I know I've just talked about it very generally there, but what's your favourite bit about Liverpool?
See, I'm quite biased because I'm from here, but I've lived here my whole life, and you're never bored. There's never nothing going on. I'm not much of a sports fan, so I can't really comment on that. But in terms of music and culture, it really is central to kind of the city. As you said, there's literally, you can't walk 5 minutes without hearing music anywhere. And it is really nice because you can find little pockets of communities. So if there's a specific type of music you're involved in, like say if you like me went through a really dramatic emo phase, there's still kind of those little pockets of culture that you can indulge yourself in. It's just a really lovely city to be in. There's always something going on. There's always festivals, food. You're never going to be bored as a student. And I'm not now. So, yeah.
That's lovely. I love the way you mentioned your emo phase. I think everyone goes through the emo phase.
It was very dramatic, lots of eyeliner.
I remember straightening my hair for school, and we all go through it. So yeah, so there's lots available for you, depending on what your interests are. There will be something in Liverpool for you. So just to summarise, I know we're coming up towards the hour, so thank you very much for sticking with us, and hopefully it's been useful. But in summary, we're a great student city, so there's lots of kind of opportunities for you, and we have a session, Your Guide to Liverpool, taking place later this week, which will be hosted by lovely Laura. So if you do have any kind of more questions about the city, or you want to find out more about kind of our top places in Liverpool, do come along to that session. It'll be really, really good and useful for you. We're a close-knit community in Hope, so you'll get to know people really well, and you'll have your own community there, which is great. And we know our students, you're not just a number. That's a really important part of Hope, is that you're not a number, you're a student, and we recognise everyone as an individual. Campus life is safe and secure, and you'll have a really good experience on our campuses. Our graduates are employable, so we instill careers from kind of day one, and we make sure that you have the skills and the experience and the support that you need to get a really good job or go into further study. Top for student satisfaction in the Northwest, which is great, and that we want to recognise and reward achievement and excellence. So that's everything about Hope, but I just wanted to also reiterate that you've done well, you've turned up today, which is great, and that's kind of the first step as part of the Summer of Hope. But what I'd say is the more you engage over this summer, the more it'll help you to prepare. So there's lots of sessions on things like how to finance, how to budget and how to look after your finances, about the societies that we offer and about our student union, for example. We have some things even about things like cookery skills later on in the summer. So there's lots of opportunity for you to build your awareness, but also to build some skills as well before you join us. And it'll just mean that when you join us late September, you'll be able to hit the ground running and focus on enjoying your time with us. So please do engage as much as you can. But that was a whistle-stop tour of Liverpool Hope and of everything that we offer. Hopefully you found that useful. If anyone does have any last-minute questions, feel free to pop them in the Q&A. I'll stick around for a little bit afterwards. But you're also welcome to give us a call or to drop us an email. So as you're now applicants, you can drop us an email to applicants@hope.ac.uk, and a member of the team will get back to you as quickly as we can to answer any questions that you have. And do engage with us on our social channels. So we're on all of the main social medias, but we also, in the email that we sent out, we do have an offer holder Facebook group. So if you're on Facebook, if that's a platform that you use quite regularly, please do make sure you join that. It'll be a good opportunity to get to know people who, say, are in the same flat as you, or maybe are on the same course as you. So there's lots of opportunities for you there. So make sure you do engage with that where you can. But apart from that, just to say thank you very much, Laura, for joining us and giving us your first-hand experience.
No problem.
That's much appreciated. And if anyone has any more questions, drop us an email, and we'll be sure to get back to you as soon as we can. But thank you very much for your time, everyone. Have a wonderful rest of your Monday.